Hi everybody, I'm Soni Grint with HUSQVARNA Viking, and I'm happy to be here with Classic Sewing today to do a couple fun projects that'll get you ready for Christmas. The one we're going to do today is actually called a poinsettia mug rug. I have to say that slowly, otherwise I get tongue-tied. With this little mug rug, it's really pretty fun. It's got an embroidery on the inside area, and then we're going to work with some of the fun new stitches for the HUSQVARNA Viking Designer Epic 3. These are called floating stitches. And what's very interesting is you don't see any stitches between these little Christmas trees and stars. So I'll show you how that works here in just a little bit. But when we're working with the mug rug, you're going to get a few new designs that are complementary from Classic Sewing, so that's exciting. And to make the design in the center, we're going to go over to the machine and actually use some of the techniques and do what's called shape creating, or basically creating a shape for our great poinsettia design. So let's go ahead and go over to the screen and make this design. So now to set up our embroidery, I'm just going to go and touch the embroidery icon on the screen. And this time, all of my designs, those great designs that are from Classic Sewing that you are getting, are these 4 little designs here. And this is what creates the poinsettia design. Let's start with the candle wick and bring that into the screen. And it's really little bitty right there in the screen. So with that, we want to add a few more and actually put them in a circle. So I'm going to touch Create Shape. And when I do that, there's my candle wick again. We're going to just choose a circle. And right now, this circle is really, really big. So I want to make it really, really small. So I'm just going to grab onto one of those corner handles and bring it in so you can see how easy that is. In your instructions that were made, it actually says, I want this to be 9.5 millimeters. So sometimes it's just easier. If I know that, I can simply touch that. And now that's really hard to see. I know it is. So guess what? There's this great zoom function. Let's zoom in a little bit and see how easy now you can see your candle wick right there. So we said we wanted 6 of these. So right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now I've got a great little circle of candle wicks. That simple, that easy. When I'm happy with that, the check mark at the top, and it comes back into the screen. So super fast, super easy. And let's bring in one more candle wick just to dot the I, basically, or dot the circle in this case. So now we're ready to go. So there's our little beginning of this fun design. After we have that, we need to bring in 2 leaves. So let's again go back here. Let's choose that leaf design. And with that leaf design, I tell you, I always forget. I need to touch it twice. I touch it once to choose it. Maybe that'll make me remember. Once to choose and once to bring it in the screen. So now that I have that set, let's go ahead, go back to our Create Shape. I have 1 design. I need 2, but we're going to put that on a circle again. So let's see. There's that same circle we used before. So there's that circle. And now we're going to choose 1 more of our leaves. Now, this could be just fine. We'd have to make it a little bit smaller. So again, we're going to just bring this in just a little bit more, just like that. We know from our instructions, actually, that we want this to be 66. I was really close. I touched 69. Let's go ahead and put that at 66. So just a little bit smaller. And then we've added something that's really kind of fun. It's called positioning. Notice how my 2 leaves are right next to one another. What I can now do is I can change the spacing. And I'm just going to let you look at that. Isn't that kind of fun? You can put the leaf wherever you want it to be. So if I liked it at that point, I could leave it there. I'm just going to swing it around just a little bit more. And once I get just about to there, just a little bit more there, And then I'm done with my leaves. So what you're seeing, hopefully, is it's pretty easy to stack not only the center part of our design, also our leaves, and now we're going to make the flower itself. So with that flower, let's go back. We're going to choose another design. This time we're going to choose the medium. And we call it a leaf, but it is actually one of the red petals of our poinsettia. And I didn't learn, did I, everyone? I didn't go ahead. Here we go. Press that second time. Once we've got that in that area, we want to actually go back to create shape. We're going to choose that circle again. So again, super easy. Once I have the circle, let's go ahead and close that and close that. I got a little click happy. I'm going to choose 4 of these. And with these 4, we want to change that size to 58. So this time, I'm not even going to guess. I'm just going to type in 58 and touch OK. Once I have that, guess what? You can also rotate. So just rotate ever so slightly. Again, I love to show that. Isn't that kind of fun? Kind of cool to see that. So I just rotated just a little bit. Once I have that done, one more check. And I have one more set of leaves to create. So guess what? You've learned this already. Let's choose the small leaf. And this time, I really promise, I actually touched twice in a row to bring it into the screen. Let's create shape again. And this design is actually quite wonderful. It teaches you how to practice, right? So I went ahead teaching me how to practice. I'm going to add 3 more for a total of 4. So now I have 4. Let's bring that in for size. And this time, if I do kind of just a guesswork right there, around 52, I think it's actually supposed to be 54. So we can type in 54 as well. And then rotate that. Once I have that set, rotate it into screen and take that check mark. So what a fun design, really, really beautiful. And think about how many different ways you can use those 4 different pieces. And this is going to be our design we're going to embroider. We're going to use this on our mug rug, and then we're going to use the same design on one of our next projects. So I'm actually going to save this. Let's just save it really quick. We're just going to save it, and let's delete that out of there. And I'm just going to call it flower. And I'm going to save it on my USB stick so I can have everything in the same place. And now we're ready to embroider. So let's go ahead and go back to the other side of the machine so we can now hoop and get ready to embroider this beautiful poinsettia flower. So now that we've got our embroidery design already created, what we want to do is go ahead and hoop our stabilizer this time. And we are going to just float the fabric, and we're going to use the basting function. But before I go any further, I want to remind you that, again, with Classic Sewing and ClassicSewingMagazine.com, all of your instructions are there, and what I want you to realize is your supplies are there. So I had neglected to talk about, make sure you get all your supplies, get everything ready, and that's all listed right there in your great instructions. So make sure you do that. So once you have your supplies, we're ready to go. We've got our hoop, basically the 120 by 120 hoop. So it's one of our smaller hoops that come with the Designer Epic 3. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my fabric over there. Just go ahead and hoop my stabilizer. And it is important, even when you are hooping just stabilizer, that you make sure everything is nice, even, there's no puckers, make sure that's all good to go. And then again, there's a little screw here and a lever that works with our hoops. So once I have the lever clasped, I am going to tighten down the screw just a little bit because we want the stabilizer to remain nice and even in the hoop. So you just want to flip that lever and then go ahead and tighten the screw for that. So now I'm going to remove my little blue board here and slide this over. Here's my, my little piece of fabric that has my center points made. And I want to make sure to show you this. We used a marker to mark our center of our fabric. But of course, at home, you guys, you want to use something that's going to go away. So water soluble or some sort of stable or some sort of marker that's going to go away. And then one of the cool things about our hoops is there is a little arrow right here, right here, right here, and right here. And those show you your center points. So I'm just going to make sure that I am aligned right in that area. So again, all of my points are aligned for this piece of fabric. Something else, just real quick, it's not that super critical that these are aligned perfectly because we're going to trim. So if you're a little bit off, don't worry about it because we're going to trim later. So don't worry about that. So now I'm going to slide this over with my fabric in my hoop. And I'm just going to choose my embroidery stitch out. And embroidery stitch out, you have just options. It's making sure that I have the proper hoop on, that sort of thing. But one of the options that I have that I think is really great is called basting in the hoop. And when I baste in the hoop, that's going to hold my fabric to my stabilizer. And I just feel like that's magic when that embroidery arm scoots over like that. It's just like, oh, that's so nice. And my machine is telling me to go ahead. I'm just going to snap on that embroidery in it. It's just that simple little click. Make sure that that's ready to go. And with the basting, everybody, one of the great things about the HUSQVARNA Viking machines is the basting itself, which I love to be able to do. That basting can be done with the foot control. Now, you may think that's weird. We're used to an embroidery touching start, stop, but I love to use the foot control because it gives me complete control. And you're going to kind of see as I start to do this basting, so see how it's going along. When I start to do the basting, I can slow down. I can make sure, see how my hands, I'm kind of in the way there of the camera, but see how my hands are just making sure that everything is nice, even, straight, just with that, using that foot control rather than the start stop. So that's actually pretty cool. So there I basted right there. My fabric is ready to go, and we're ready to go ahead and start our embroidery. So now let's go ahead and start, and just want to make sure I think I am where I am, and that is with those little candlewick stitches in the center. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start the embroidery, and then we're going to go ahead and let you finish that at home, and then we'll go ahead and change to a little bit different area. But go ahead and start your embroidery. I want you to see how nice and easy that is. Just press that button, and we're going to let the Designer Epic 3, we're just going to let it start to embroider. And then once you get done with that embroidery, we're going to come back and start constructing the mug rug at that point. So let's just go ahead and let it go. So once you are done with the embroidery and take it out of the hoop, like I said earlier, you will notice it's a little bit bigger than what we actually want it to be. So we've marked here, but really you're just going to trim up with your rotary cutter or with your scissors to get the proper size for basically the center of the mug rug. So this is what our next step is, right? So this is what we're making. This is the size we need it to be. So once we get done with that, and you have it all trimmed, we're going to do this great technique that is called floating stitches. And the floating stitches, if you look closely, and we saw it on the mug rug at the beginning as well, there's really no lines of stitching between the satins, which is fabulous, and that's why they're called floating. And so I want to show you this technique. It is a built-in stitch, so we have not only the Christmas trees, but also the little stars as well. So We love to use our decorative threads, but we're going to change the density of our stitches, and that's actually great because we can use finer threads and heavier threads depending upon what you're doing. So let's go ahead and go to the screen, and I'll show you where you can find those floating stitches and explain a little bit about them. So the special stitch we're going to work with is actually it's in sewing mode. So I'm going to choose the sewing icon, get into some sewing stitches, and when I do that, there is a brand new category clear over at the end. So I'm just swiping through all of those stitch menus, which is really easy. And I'm going to choose specialty stitches. And I know for anyone who's a HUSQVARNA Viking owner, you've worked with candle wicking stitches and some of our other specialty stitches. But this one is brand new, and it is called a floating stitch. This floating stitch, if you ever, let's go ahead. I want to find the little star this time. So you have, oh goodness, diamonds, you have the trees, you have all sorts of different things. Number 17 is our star that we're going to be using. But if you ever forget how to use that, you can touch this little I button and all the information is right there on the screen. So it's saying to fold the fabric right sides together, doing different things like that. So this is a special stitch with the folded sort of work, which is a little different than what we're going to do. I can also come back and actually go back to my main screen, go to sewing again. I'm going to say yes to clear my ongoing work because what I want to share with you is we have these exclusive sewing techniques again, and I'm just going to choose the floating stitches. So the floating stitches folded is what was taught in the main screen. I'm going to choose the floating stitches joined, which is what we're going to do this next time. Again, all your instructions right here. And I wanted you to see you're going to use a piece of stabilizer and your main fabric, and then a little extra piece of fabric. So that's there. And come back to my content and find those really pretty stars again. So I'm going to choose number 19 in this area. And when I do that, close this out, and we're ready to stitch our floating stitch star. Now that we've got our machine set up for the floating stitch, we want to make sure that we do change that stitch density. Make sure it's down at 0.2, okay? So make sure you change that. That way we're using the beautiful rayon threads to do the decoration, so it'll still give us a really nice stitch. And then we're going to take, like I showed you before, we're going to take our piece of stabilizer and set that, and then our decorative, our main fabric, and then our decoration. And we're just going to slide this over. And I did snap on the B presser foot. So the B presser foot has a groove underneath. And what that groove is going to do, it's going to allow the stitches to flow very easily. Using the side of my presser foot as my guide, all I'm going to do is go ahead and get started. The floating stitches are really, really cool because they take a couple straight stitches, and then it does the satin stitch. I'm going to speed this up just a little bit. One of the fun things about our new Designer Epic 3 is we've got a slider bar for our speed, so it makes it super easy to stitch. And as you're looking, you can see those straight stitches and the decorative stitch. Now, you might find this a little bit odd right now. At least I did when I first did these stitches. It was a little odd because basically, how in the world is this going to make a seam? So I just touched my selective thread cutter, so I'm cutting at the very end. And really, once this is done, I want to show you. This is the coolest part, this is the magic. So check this out. Here's my stitch. I'm going to pull this open. Every time I do this, I want to say like, voila, or something like that, because the straight stitch is hidden in the seam. And now look at that beautiful satin stitch right there. And that's what we actually have right here on the mug rug. So you can see the satin stitch here. You can see it looks just the same as what we have done. Isn't that just beautiful? And again, there's nothing holding it, thus the floating stitch, which makes it really, really cool. So once you have practiced, I think it's always good to practice a new stitch like that. What you'll do is you'll do the exact same thing for your mug rug, right? So here I went ahead and I used the tree stitch for this little portion to put the sides on. And in your instructions, everybody, there is a program. So we program the exact size you need for this part of the mug rug. So that is done in programming. And then you're going to go ahead and use some stabilizer, just like we did before. Place the stabilizer underneath the fabric. And the stars aren't directional, so you don't have to worry about that. And then put your fabric on top. And then just take that right to the machine and sew that down. So once you get done, you're just going to open it up and it'll be that quick and easy. Again, just like we did. And we practiced with this, with our little, basically decorative, just our little play stitch, right? So this was just kind of our little practice there. So once you're done with this, everyone, you've got the top of your mug rug done. I just want to say, if you don't, I love the floating stitches, and this is something, again, new on our HUSQVARNA Viking machine, on our HUSQVARNA Viking Designer Epic 3. But remember, if you don't have floating stitches, you can use a 1/4-inch seam, or you can use decorative stitches on top afterwards. But the cool thing about this is you don't see the stitching. So that's what's really neat. That interior stitching, you only see the satin. So that's what's really cool. All right, so we're almost done with our mug rug. And what I'd like to share with you next is how we're going to put it all together to make the finish. So we've got our finished top, which is so, so very cute, with our poinsettia in the middle and our floating stitches along the outside edge, just really super easy. We're going to actually do the turning a little bit different. We're going to use an envelope turn. So we have a couple little bit bigger pieces of fabric that we folded in half. And again, those are all in your instructions, so that's all there. We're going to take our batting, or the batting itself is a great thing to use for mug rugs, except it doesn't give a lot of insulation, right? So there is a product that is called Insulbrite, and this Insulbrite has a little bit of heat barrier on the inside. So if you know you're going to use a hot mug, you'll really want to use the Insulbrite for the middle of your mug rug. So we've got that either Insulbrite or batting down. I've got my wonderful little top on top, right side up. And then we're simply going to place the folded part of our fabric to the inside. Folded part of our fabric to the inside. So again, this is called a little envelope closure there. And you're just going to stitch with a 1/4-inch seam around that outside edge. And you're going to turn right inside our little envelope. And guess what? This is what you got. So you turn it inside out. So that's there. And then when you come around to the outside edge, you don't have to worry about finishing anything off. You're just going to sew a straight stitch to hold everything down and make everything look great. So wasn't that a really fun, quick little project that you can make for all your friends and neighbors? You're going out to a nice dinner at your neighbor's house. Take a mug rug. They'll love them. And it's a great way to play around with new stitches and decorations and embroidery on your embroidery machines. So everyone, enjoy your mug rugs, and we'll be back soon with another quick project. Hi everybody, it's me again. I'm here to give you another project that is a companion project to what we made with the mug rug. This is a little gift bag. With the mug rug, we created this beautiful poinsettia embroidery, and we're going to use that same embroidery right here on the gift bag. So it's a super fast, easy project, and it's cute little top here at the top. So you can draw string, you can actually go ahead and put things in there and give that as a gift. And it just is a fun, quick little draw like that. So super fast, super easy. And it's wonderful for gift giving. So again, if you have something that you're going to give to someone as in your family or friends, make a little gift bag instead of using that paper. This is a great way to dress up your gifts. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm just going to set these aside for just a moment, put those right over here. And our first step is really super easy. Now, if you guys have been following along, which I'm sure you have, you know that your supply list is right here. So you have all of your the supply list right in your write-up. So you can find all of that at classicsewingmagazine.com. So that's all right there for you. So don't forget to print those out, and you can follow along with me with those printouts. You're going to want to start, and this little piece that we're going to start with is just a very simple little piece here. This is actually what's going to end up being, and I'm going to pull this open because I think this is so cute. This is actually going to be the casing right here that the ribbon runs through. So it's super easy to make a really fancy casing. I love this. And with this piece of fabric, all you're going to do is you're going to fold it up about 1/4 inch, maybe a little bit less, 1/4 inch, and then just sew it. Sew it with just a straight stitch. So straight stitch, and you're going to sew that to finish off the ends of your casing. So you're going to do that to 2 pieces. And once you have that done, then you're going to take those pieces and you're just going to fold it and iron it in half. So if you see that, see how easy? That's nicely ironed just like that. You're going to take another strip that's just a little bit wider, and so see how it's a little bit wider here. You're going to go ahead and fold that in half too, because what we're going to do is we're going to create that really cute top on the bag. So you want to make sure you have the right side of your fabric up. Place your casing, the wrong edge, or the raw edges, excuse me. We're going to place that right at the top. And then we're going to take our other piece that we folded. Again, all raw edges are going to be together. So you can see that right there. And once you have all those raw edges together, if you want to put in a little pin or use a clip, you're welcome to do that. And just again, use a 1/4 inch seam. So right along this edge. And when it flips open, can you see how that's going to work? You've got your casing right there. You've got your top piece. It's just so darn cute. I fell in love with this. And I just think, yeah, there we go, because I want you to see, I just think that's so darn cute how you've got this nice little top and your casing is just right along there with it. So that is the first step. So we've got really side one of our bag done. This is the time, everybody, before you put your bag together, when you're making your bags, this is a great time to go ahead and put your embroidery on. So I had mentioned before, but remember, we created our embroidery when we did the mug rug. So go back and look at that sew along, because that's a great, easy, actually, and it's a complimentary design because you use that. Classic Sewing is giving you the pieces to make this, so that's what's really neat about it. But you want to put that on before you actually sew this together, because that's an easy way to do that. Now, I know some of you, if you're like me, sometimes we don't have time to sew, even though these are fast projects, we don't have time to sew things up. So I had found a great little, just a really small, you can see it was actually given to me, a little bag like this. And it's I wanted to embroider on it. So I'm going to try and turn this to the camera so you guys can see this really pretty hummingbird. And with this hummingbird, I wanted to embroider this on this little bag. Most normal embroidery machines don't have the ability to do something this small, or it's tricky to do that. I just want to show you something really cool. And we're not going to do this today, but why I want to show this to you, here's this little bag. This is a very special hoop. It's called the free arm hoop, all right? So it's the HUSQVARNA Viking free arm hoop, and I'm just going to put it maybe there so we can get that, if you can see that. The reason why I wanted to do that is this hoop, along with the open arm on the bed of my Designer Epic 3, allows me to go ahead, and I'm going to bring this up. I'm not going to do embroidery, so guess what, guys? I don't have the embroidery foot on there, but check that out. See how easy that just goes right on. And my embroidery, yeah, you can see, isn't that wonderful? So now it's going to do the embroidery, and my little bag goes underneath. So that free arm embroidery option is so fabulous. And again, something that is very special with our Designer Epic 3s. So I just had to share that because, again, quick, fast, easy thing to do is go, if you have one of these little bags around, go ahead and use it and embroider it and make it special for someone. So once you get your embroidery done, okay, so once you get your embroidery done, what we're going to do is we're going to then take our 2 pieces. So I've got my 1 piece finished here, and you're just going to have a separate or a second piece that you're going to go ahead and put on top. When you do that, then you're simply going to sew around the outer edge. That's why we folded that top area, right? So we folded this so it's all finished. We're going to sew along this top area. And at that point, you guys, you're ready. You're ready to turn this inside out. So that's all you really need to do. Isn't that fast? I mean, what a great way to do a bag. But I want to show you something that I did. I don't know if you can see on our original bag here. So on our original bag, notice how the corners kind of peeked out a little bit. It depends on what you're going to put in the bag. Maybe if you're putting something flat, that's perfect. But what I like to show you is this little, notice how I boxed this little corner. If you can see how that's nice and flat and even. So let me show you really quick how to box a corner because it's so simple. It's not hard. It's just, you know, you have to know, right? So that's the thing is you have to know. I went ahead and I boxed this little corner just by 1 inch. So all you do is you kind of pull this out. So sorry, get that in the way you can see this. I pull this out and you're aligning the side seam with the bottom seam. And I truly measured 1 inch from tip to tip here and simply put in a little pin. Now, there's something that it's going to be, the camera guys are going to hate me for this because I'm going to come over to the machine really quick here. So I want them to follow me because when I come over to the machine just right here, one of the beautiful things is we've got all these lines in the bed of our Designer Epic 3. So I can actually put this down and just truly get my hand out of the way. So hopefully you can see that. I just put it right on the inch line here. So it's so super easy to know what an inch is just by putting that right there and sewing that straight stitch. That's how easy it is, everyone, to box your corner. So super fast, super easy. And don't you just love this little gift bag? Your finishing touch is really, let me turn that inside out. The finishing touch really is just to put in your ribbons. And so you'll take your ribbons and you'll just go from one side to the next side with one ribbon, and then the opposite side to the opposite side with your second ribbon. And then you've got your great drawstring. I know you all are going to want to make a lot of these and give these as gifts and just put something special inside. I can even see you maybe doing a little baking or doing just some fun different things to take it out to the neighborhood and just enjoy what a fun project this is, but also to impart and just give the joy away to others. So have fun with your gift bag. Enjoy the mug rug that goes with it. And just keep on sewing and enjoy your holidays.